B'Reshut Kal HaKadosh, everybody welcome. Be'ezrat Hashem, may Hashem bless Tony, Adam, She'akadosh Baruch Hu, his dear friend, Emmanuel, She'barachat, Tzlacha, Briyut. Thank you for donating for the shiur. Be'ezrat Hashem, give you Hashem blessing, tranquility, Be'ezrat Hashem, happiness. V'gam tivarech et Yaakov ben Asher, Kirill Daniel ben Michoel, Nisim Shalom, Ben Bechor Baris, Barachat, Tzlacha, Briyut, Arbe Disiyat Dishmaya. V'chen Yeratzon v'Romar Amen. Elef Avdalot ben Ametim Lechaim Leilu Nishmat, my father, Mori Aviv, Aaron ben Esther v'Yaakov, Ruach Hashem Tenachenu Bagan Eden, v'gam Roma Rachamim ben Mazal Nela Halevi. Ruach Hashem Tenachenu Bagan Eden, hu v'chol ha'shachmim imo b'chlar Rachamim v'aslichot, v'chen Yeratzon v'Romar Amen. So we talked about previously in a Pirkei Avot, in a chapter 4, Mishnah Yud Gimel. The Pirkei Avot says following: Shagagat Talmud Ola Zadon. So Chazal says that a person makes a mistake, a Talmid Chacham, a scholar makes a mistake. It's like he unintentionally made a mistake, but it's cost him as a being intentionally. What does it mean? Tzedakah Gemilut Chasadim. We see the same thing in a tzedakah, giving charity, and Gemilut Chasadim, and doing kindness. Sheken Amru Chazal Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin, Masechet Sanhedrin, in page 105, what our sages say, Gdolo Gmila Shir Mechai Krovim. Amon v'Moav. He says the two nations, Amon v'Moav, cannot become converts. What is the reasoning? Because when we came out from Egypt, Amon v'Moav, is the two nations, did not give us a bread and water. Shiga ala Zadon. Because Hashem said they didn't have akarat atov, appreciation. Amon v'Moav, which is their descendants, they come from Lot. Who is the Lot? Lot is the nephew of Avram Avinu. Who is Avram Avinu? Saved the Lot. When Lot got kidnapped, he got saved. Avram Avinu went against the four malachim, four kings, and fought. So because of that, Lot got saved. Then Lot had two of his daughters that he had a relationship, and from them became two nations. What's the two nations? Ammon and Moab. And they're supposed to be known with the descendants of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. They're supposed to give us a bread and water when came from Egypt. They didn't give us. Why they didn't give us? Because they were not appreciated. Kafui Tova, unappreciated. Because our great-grandfather, which is Avraham Avinu, saved the great-grandfather, which is Lot. If he wasn't for Lot, it would be not nation, Ammon and Moab. So from here we see, even they did it unintentionally, Hashem says, I don't want to, these nations, which is Ammon and Moab, even they want to convert to Judaism, they would not be converted to Judaism. And why is that? Because they would not appreciate it. So they did it even unintentionally. For them it's considered as intentionally. Damru Rabbi Ila, Halvuhu Yonatan leDavid shte kikarot lechem, bashan nifrad mimeno, mibracho mipnei Shaul. So Chazal says Yonatan was the best friend of David HaMelech. What does it mean, best friends? We more often call everybody best friend. Best friend, which just means Yonatan, when he's supposed to be king after Shaul HaMelech, that's his father, he's supposed to be king. But he says, because the nation loves you, David HaMelech, you're going to be king. He gave his king and rulership over to David HaMelech. So, when Shaul HaMelech wanted to kill David HaMelech, he ran to the city of the Nov. And that city was the Kohanim. And because the reason he fled there, he had no bread and water. Who did not give him? Yonatan was underestimated or did not calculate it. The proper word is he did not calculate it. So because he didn't give David HaMelech bread and water, he went to the city of Nov. And from that city, Shaul HaMelech find out that David HaMelech ran there, and they give the Nov, the city that gave him the bread and water, to David HaMelech and his soldiers. Find out later on, Shaul HaMelech, what happens? He kills the city of the Nov. So Chazal says from here, Baruch mipnei Shaul, ad she'ochos bulmo, tzorich Achimelech, Kohen gadol letet le'echol melechem apanim. Achimelech was the Kohen in that city, and he gave him the food that needs to provide to the David HaMelech and his soldiers. No argu anshe nov ir kohanim ela na'argu sho v'shaul v'shloshet banav imo. He says not only that, the Shaul HaMelech got punished. Himself got killed, and 3 of his sons of Shaul HaMelech, which is the king. ויונתן כאחד מהם, and Yonatan was one of his sons. לכן אמרו תהילים, אשרי משכיל אל דל. Our sages say in the Tehillim 41:2, אשרי משכיל אל דל. Praiseworthy is that man who understands the pauper, the poor person. What do you mean? David HaMelech was not poor, right? But at the moment he was poor. He was ran for the fleet from the Shaul HaMelech. At that moment he was poor. And the Tehillim says, Ashrei Maskil Dal. A person should know when a person needs something, he needs to be the first one who is able to come and help him. Matzinu od b'ta'anid. Masechet Ta'anid, it says in page 21 in the Talmud. Masechet Nachum ish Gamzu, shisiper atzmo. So Nachum ish Gamzu was he was the teacher, Rabbi Akiva, for 22 years. Nachum ish Gamzu. He went in a way to the path to his father-in-law house. And in a way, he saw a poor guy, and a poor guy says, give me food. And he did not reacted so quick and fast. The poor guy died on the spot from the hunger. And he cursed himself, and he says, let my eyes be blind, may my legs be cut off, may my hands will be cut off. Why? Because I did not see him on time. From here we see that how much a person able to help others at the point, and it has to be fast and quick. Rabbi Shimon Stam Rabbi Shimon. Chachamim says, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says following Masechet Pesachim B'Meila, Masechet Pesachim in page 112, Amud Aleph U'Meila Yud Zayin. Bepirush Rashban Baba Batra in 102. Vayat Talmidei Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Shimon was the student of Rabbi Akiva. She'amid b'yemei zeknoto. Rabbi Akiva is already old, like it says in Masechet Yevamot in page 62, that he was already old, and his student was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. V'amar Isi ben Yehuda. Isi ben Yehuda says about the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in page Masechet Gittin in 67. Shu shtochen arbe motzia kimiyah. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai used to learn a lot, but he used to come out and give little. What does it mean? Tana, mishkacha kimiyah ומה שמוציא אינו מוציא אלא סובין. כלומר, ששוכח מתלמודו אינו שוכח אלא דברים שאין הלכה כמותם. Rashi says, what does it mean? Whatever he needs to grasp in the learning, he's grasping. Whatever not, he's forgetting. Because he says, if this is not halacha, I will forget about that, whatever I learn. Ba'avod Rabbi Natan, iti shematzinu Rabbi Shimon li Isi ben Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon says to Isi ben Yehuda, מה אתה מתפטפט על דבר מפני התלמידי חכמים? He says, why you talking about the תלמידי חכמים, which is including Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, in front of us? אמרו לו, הלא לא אמרתי עליך, אלא שאתה שונה הרבה. He says, you learn so much. Isi ben Yehuda says, you learn so much, ומשכח כמייה. He says, no, I'm giving you praise. I'm praiseworthy you. He says, you learning a lot, and you forgetting very little. He says, whatever you're forgetting, whatever you do, is not need to be in a halacha. סותם ספרי רבי שמעון ואליבא דרבי עקיבא. פעם אחת גזרו מלכות על ישראל, גזרה על ישראל. One time the Roman emperor made a decree in a Jewish nation. שלא ישמרו שבת. One of the things should not keep Shabbat. ולא ימלאו את בניהם, should not do brit milah, circumcision. והלך ראובן בן אסתרבולי. Rabbi Reuben ben Astraboli, he went to nullify the decree that they're supposed to be keep Shabbat and do the Brit Milah, which means circumcision. He was looking like a goy. So basically what he had, a mohawk. Okay? Right. Imagine a rabbi going with a mohawk. Okay? He did it in order for him to look like one of the Romans, that the goyim, Gentiles. And he was sitting with them. He says, I'm going to have you a question. They thought that he was part of them. He says, I have a question for you guys, that you made a decree in a Jewish nation. Your Jewish nation is your enemy. He says, let me ask you about the question about the enemy. Yaseh ani or ashir. He says, what do you want to make for your enemy? You want to become poor or rich? What's the answer? Amalo yaseh ani. Of course we want to make him poor. Okay? Kedei she'asu aniyim. He says, okay, if you want to make him poor, he says, you answer beautifully. But look, Zarash Mirat Shabbat. He says, if they're going to work 7 days a week, they're going to become rich. If you're going to they're only working 6 days a week, 1 day they're off, they're going to be what? They're going to be less richer because they're working 1 day less. And where is all the markets are beautiful? On Saturdays. So he says, look, you need to be they're keeping Shabbat. If you're going to let them keep Shabbat, they work 6 days a week, they're going to be less poorer than become a richer. Chazar Amar Lahem, Mi sheyesh oyev achish o bari. He says, Rabbi Reuben says following. If you have an enemy, what do you want it to be enemy? Strong or weak? They say, Amrulo, Yachish, of course they need to be weak. He says, if you're going to do Brit Milah, for the Jewish people, they're going to be weaker. He says, you said it beautiful, nullify the decree of the Brit Milah circumcision. Later on, the Romans find out that he was a Jew, Rabbi Reuben. They back brought the decree again to the Jewish nation. Because they thought that's it, they found out he's a Jew. Now they say, who is going to go and nullify the decree? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon is going to go and going to nullify the decree. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was well known for doing miracles. Who is going to go with Rabbi Shimon? They say Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Yossi, another rabbi is going to go with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Amru lahem Rabbi Yossi, Elu haya Abba Chalafta kayam. Says, if my father was Abba Chalafta was alive, Yachlo ata lomar ten bencha le'ariga. He says, what are you sending with Rabbi Shimon, another Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Yossi? He says, what if they're going to kill him? He says, no, we're not afraid of Romans. We're afraid of Rabbi Shimon, we're going to punish us. What is the punishment? Why? They said to Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Elazar ben Chalafta, Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Yossi went with Rabbi Shimon, and he says to Rabbi Shimon, you accept upon yourself, you're not going to punish Rabbi Elazar ben Chalafta. Shayu molchim baderech, Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Yossi, going together, okay, to the Rome. So he says, what is the blood of the sheretz of the animal that becomes impure? Says Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Yossi says, this is what is it for you impure. Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai says, according to what are you answering? You're a scholar. Ali yachzor ben etzel aviv. He says, I see yotze likrato, ashed shemo ben talmiyon. Now when Rabbi Shimon came to the Rome, and a shed, which means a demon came in, his name is Shemo Hashed ben Talmiyon. Ben Talmiyon. Amar ratzonchem avo imachem. The Shindalet came in, the demon came in to Rabbi Shimon, and he says, you want me come with you guys? Avoy bachem, bachar Rabbi Shimon v'amar. Rabbi Shimon started crying. What is the crying about? Shivcha shebet Abba nizdamelo melech malach shalosh pamim. He says, Hagar, when Avraham Avinu and Sarah, which means that when Abraham and Sarah they threw the Hagar on a desert, okay, 3 times angel came to Hagar. But he says to me, Shindalet came in, which is the demon came in. Why the angel does not come to me? And he started crying. And he says, even one time the angel did not come to me. Who came to me? Is a demon. He says, anyways, the miracle is supposed to come to us. Says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says to this demon, go to the palace of this Roman emperor. Rabbi Shimon lisham. He basically, this demon, he made this daughter of the emperor, he made her crazy. So now the king is looking to heal his daughter. His daughter all of a sudden become crazy. So So Rabbi Shimon came to the emperor's house and he says, you're able to heal my daughter? Rabbi Shimon says, yes. And he went to the ear of the daughter of the emperor, and he said quietly, "Come out, Ben Talmai." To the demon, he says, "Come out from her." So, Kevan shekara yatsa v'alach v'yitrapeh b'had. The daughter became healed. Amar lahem Kisar, shal ma yesh lachem lishol. Says the Roman emperor, "What do you have to have any wish? You just, what you did? You just made my daughter to become healthy. Okay? You healed her." Amar lahem Kisar, shal yesh lachem lishol. He says, "You're going to go inside my Otzer, which means inside my kingship, where I keep all my diamonds and gold. Whatever you need to take with you." He went and he saw the decree to the Am Israel should not keep one of the two things, which is really says three things: Brit Milah, Shabbat, and Nidah. You should not keep. So he nullified that decree. He took it and he ripped that letter that was the law against the Jewish nation. Masechet Meilah, page 17, that's what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai did. He did not take gold, he did not take diamonds, he nullified the decree for the Am Israel. So, Pam Echad Yashav Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Shimon. Once they were sitting here, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon together. Yehuda ben Gerim. He was sitting between them, Yehuda ben Gerim. Patach Rabbi Va'amar, Rabbi Yehuda opens and says following. Kama na'im ma'asim shel ha'umah zo Romi. Says, wow, what a beautiful things that this is the nation of Rome do for themselves, for Jewish people. Tiknu shvakim, they did build malls, mall where you could make a shopping. Tiknu gesharim, they made bridges, Williamsburg Bridge, Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge. Tiknu merchatzot, they made beautiful bathhouses. Rabbi Yossi shatak. Rabbi Yossi did not say nothing. Rabbi Shimon Omar, kol ma shataknu lo tiknu ela latzorech atzmam. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, whatever they did everything for their own pleasure. Tiknu shvakim, they did malls, la'ashiv bahem zonot. They did all these things so they could bring, I'm sorry for my language, prostitutes, that they would do sins with them. Marchatzot, he says they will bring the bathhouses, la'aden bahem atzmam. They will make themselves beautiful. That's why they build the bathhouses. Gesharim, he says the reason they brought the bridges, the reason, leitol meches, they were able to take from people taxes. Like we have a Mitano tunnel, right? Or you enter right now congestion prices in a city, right? So what they're taking every time they want to take from us money, right? Okay, we're going to say because there's a train, you need less people traveling, you need to, all these things, what they did, so they're able to take from people more and more, milking people more and more. And that's what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says 2,000 years ago. Imagine we're living right now in New York City and that's what's happening. So it says the reason they created the bridges, so they're able to collect the taxes. So taxes in our time is the tolls. See, nothing changed, rabbis. Halach Yehuda ben Gerim v'seper dvarahem. Yehuda ben Gerim, which is Yehuda, the descendants of the converts, he went and he snitched on Rabbi Shimon. He snitched on him. Nishma lemalchut amru Yehuda she'ala yitalei yom Yossi shatak yigala mitzafui shaman shigina yeharag. Says, what happened to Rabbi Yehuda? What happened to Rabbi Yossi? Rabbi Yehuda, that's what he says. Rabbi Yossi, that's what he says. Rabbi Shimon, they said he's going to, on him, bond, $10 million, we need to kill him. That's what they said. We need to kill him. So they went and they made a decree on Rabbi Shimon, he should be killed. Barach Rabbi Shimon ubenon b'bet midrash. Rabbi Shimon and his son, Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Shimon, they went to the Bet HaMidrash and hide from the what? From the Roman emperor. Every day he used to drink water and bread, and they're on a run, on a chase from the government. Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar, they said, if they're going to catch the wife of Rabbi Shimon, they're going to make a manhin decree. And what's going to happen? They're going to torture her and they're going to find us where we are. So what they did, Nashim datan kalam shema yitzavu yigalu et hamakomo alchu nitchabu b'ma'ara. Rabbi Shimon and his son, 12 years he was inside the cave. Inside the cave for 12 years. What happened? What they were eating? Charuvin. From Erev Shabbat to Erev Shabbat. the water, Ma'ayan, which means the river, it's Masechet Shabbat, page 33, Lag BaOmer, page 33, the water came from the ground, which is the Ma'ayan. Ma'ayan is it's like a river, and a charuv, that's what they were eating. נעשו להם נס, נברא להם חרוב בעין, הם פושטים בגדיהם ויושבים עד צווארם בחול. It says they used to take their clothes and they used to bury themselves until the neck, so the clothes would not be deteriorated, which means to go bad. Chazal says the reason they did this, they did tikkun on Adam HaRishon. So the land was cursed, and both of them, Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar, they used to put the body without the clothing inside the ground, and that's how they used to learn Torah for 12 years. They can't even do this for 12 minutes. They did this for 12 years. Okay? I'm not recommending you guys to do it. Don't think of doing it. Okay? I don't want you to get depressed. I don't want you to do then you're going to have just a chas v'shalom psychologist, only on minyan and psychologists. If a person does such a thing, he would have a minyan with them. Maybe he needs to daven in the house, no more in the shul, by doing these actions. Some people wanted to do these actions, would not be successful. Every day they were learning Torah for 12 years. In the time of the prayer, when he comes in, they used to put the clothes, they used to put tzitzit, and they used to daven to Hashem. Then afterwards, once they finished davening, okay, they used to take out the clothes, so the clothes would not be everything dirty, and they would not have any clothes. So that's the reason he did it. Baruch Hashem, over here we have AC, we have a heat, we have a coffee in the morning, right? And all these things, we still cannot come in davening. Look at this tzaddikim in this situation. They would have made every 1,000 excuse not to daven at this moment because the decree made on him. They're in a run, they're in a chase, so they don't have to. Anus Rahmana Patret. Chazal, our sages teach us that somebody in a situation, in a danger, you don't have to daven. Listen. No, they did this. Yashvu 12 shana b'ma'ara. 12 years, Rabbi Shimon and his son was inside the cave. Bo Eliyahu amad petach ma'ara. Eliyahu Hanavi came in to the entrance of the ma'ara, which means in the entrance of the cave. Amar mi yodei leben Yochai shemet kisar. He says, Eliyahu Hanavi came in, he gave a basorot tova, a good news. He says the Roman emperor died. That means the decree, and Rabbi Shimon and his son is nullified. What is the decree? To kill him. Yatzu v'ro b'nei adam she'u chorshim v'zorim. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son came out. You see on the field, people are working in the fields. Like a regular person, working people. Amar Rabbi Shimon, menichim chayei olam. He says they're living the life of the Torah, and when askim chayei sha'ah, and they're doing business transactions. Kol makom she'en notnim menahem miyad sorev. Where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai look, the people became right away galat samod, which became ashes. They burned on a spot. Killed them on a spot. Everywhere he looked, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, everybody became ashes and ashes and ashes. בכל מקום נותנים מנהם שרף, יצא בת קול ואמרה להם, להחריב עולמי יצאתם. The holy voice came out and it says, you came out to destroy my world, Rabbi Shimon and your son. חזרו למרעתכם. He says, go back to your cave. חזרו, they went back, וישבו 12 חודש. 12 months, the total, there were 13. Chazal says Rabbi Shimon is the Shimon that threw the Yosef HaTzadik into the pit. How many years was Yosef HaTzadik in a jail? 12 years. And another year, what is it? That he said to Shara Maskim, that remember me 30 years, same thing Rabbi Shimon. Is the Gilgul of the Shimon that the Yosef was thrown through the what? Through the pit. So that's why he needs to be where? In a cave for 12 years. Then another year, 13. Because he needs to come and Gilgul and fix that. That's why he's Rabbi Shimon. That's why Rabbi Shimon was inside the cave for 12 years. And afterwards, another year. 12 Chazal says the judgment for the wicked person is 12 months inside the Gehinom. says the heavenly voice comes out. It says, come out from your ma'ara, which is the cave. Yatzu v'yeshvu petach ha'ma'ara. They came out from the cave. Ra'u tzayed amad zed supurim pornasim mitzodo. He says he sees people now catching birds. ציפורים פרנס מצודו, שאמר רבי שמעון קול ואומרת, דימוס ציפור לצוד, שמע בת קול ואומרת, ספקלתא צודודה נקדה, אמר אפילו צפוי מלעדי שמיים אינו ניצוד. He says, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and we learned this big musar, says, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, you see this person catching a bird, whoever is gzara, which means decree from the heavens, he needs to be catched, he's going to catch. Whoever is the bird is not going to be catched, is not going to be catched. It's from the heavens. Okay? Nafsha Adam lo kol sheken. He says, don't you think the human soul is the same way? Yatsa mimara kol hamakom she Rabbi Elazar makeh, haya Rabbi Shimon mirapeh. Where Rabbi Elazar, where he used to hit, Rabbi Shimon used to heal. Bini dai leolam ani v'ata. He says, my dear son, let the world be the way it is. Let the world be me and you only in this world. What does it mean? Erev Shabbat im hashkiya, ro'a zaken echad shu echaz beyadeh shte chavilot shel chadas. This one older person, he had two chadasim, two myrtles in his hands. Erev Shabbat he was. V'raz ben hashmashot, he was between the twilight zone. V'amru alma lecha, amar lahem lechot Shabbat. They asked Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar, what is it, there's two myrtles? He says, this is for the quad, this is for the kavod of Shabbat, respecting Shabbat. V'yedai lecha be'echad. He says, you need only one, why you need two? Amar lahem, echad k'neged zachor, v'echad k'neged shamor. One is to remember Shabbat, one is to keep Shabbat. Amar Rabbi Shimon libeno, ra kama chavivot mitzvot Israel. He says, look, our people are cherishing the mitzvot of Hashem. Nitiyashvat datam. They were appeased, whatever they saw this old guy running with the myrtles to do mitzvot. Shama Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair vayetza likrato. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair was the father-in-law of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. And by the way, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai is buried in a Miron. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair buried by Tzfat. Says, if you're going to come and you do 7 akafot, which is 7 circles around me, somebody could not get married, would get married, somebody would not have parnasa. There's many segulot. We should take a, huh? No, Rabbi Elazar ben Yair, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, he says, when I'm going to pass away, do not build a grave stone with all the beautiful stuff that's supposed to be say. So his grave really does little, every time they used to build a stone on him, used to break. Every time. So now it's a circle with the tree growing on top of his grave with the figs. And people have many notes to put on a tree and to go. I was there a couple times. Every time I tried to go to Tzfat, I used to go by the Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Right, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. It's very good to go. But we should not pray to, J.C. Penney should pray to somebody intermediate. We're not no intermediate. The Rambam says we need to pray to Hashem in the schut of the tzaddik that bury here, Pinchas ben Yair. So that's what able to, by Izrat Hashem, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, that were able to have the siyat d'shmaya to help to go. No. Chovat HaLevavot was read by Rabbeinu Bachya.
But he wrote it based on the...
Right. Asara Dvarim. There's the two things, Masech Shekalim and Yerushalmi it says. Nichnesu bet HaMirchaz b'Tveria. So Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair and Rabbi Shimon, they went inside the Tveria in a bathhouse. After 13 years being inside the cave and bury the body. In order to make tikkunim. Tikkunim, like we say. Achnisu v'atchil mitaken et basaro. So he started really Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair started peeling off the skin of Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Pinchas takim gufo. He saw the cracks in his body. Michamat chol shehayu mitchaseh b'ma'ara. He says because from the sand and the dirt the body is destroyed, like we say over here, right? He started crying. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair started crying. Nisharu da'amadav basar Rabbi Shimon. He says the tears went inside the cracks of the skin of Rabbi Shimon. V'tzak mitoch kev. He started crying, not crying. He screamed, Rabbi Shimon. Amaro Rabbi Pinchas, oy li shiradita. He says, Rabbi Pinchas, oy, that I saw you like this. Ashrecha shiratinu bakach. Rabbi Shimon says, praiseworthy is you that you saw me like this. She'imalei lo ra'iti bekach, lo matzati bekach. He says, because the whole Zohar HaKadosh, and he says, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair knew 12 interpretation of Torah. Before Rabbi Shimon went inside the cave, he knew only 6. Rabbi Shimon came out, he knew 24. Okay? שאימאלי לא הייתי בכך מתחילי קודם הגזרה שמקשה רבי שמעון קושייה היה רבי פנחס בן יאיר מתאר 12 תירוצים. When Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai used to ask Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair any question and an answer, he used to question Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair used to answer 12 different answers. ואילו לאחר רצה רבי שמעון מערב ושב לבית המדרש, when Rabbi Shimon went and came out to Bet HaMidrash from the cave, היה מקשה רבי פנחס בן יאיר. Now Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair is asking Rabbi Shimon the question. Rabbi Shimon מתרץ 24 תירוצים. 24 answers he had for Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had 24 answers for Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair. ורוח חכמתו והפלפול, because so much knowledge and wisdom that he gained inside the cave. So you're gonna, each one of you saying, listen, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go inside the cave. I'm gonna be the great. A lot of Chazal says, a lot of did, and they were not successful. What do I mean not successful? They were not successful what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai did. The Chazal says, if they would have done like Rabbi Shimon, they would have been successful. But who says they did like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? Let's go forward. But the Yerushalmi, this is the Yerushalmi when I saw this couple years ago. That is a beautiful Yerushalmi. Okay? Masech Sanhedrin, Perek Aleph, Halacha Bet. Says following. Koshev Rabbi Akiva et Rabbi Meir Barosh. So what happened? Rabbi Akiva had a student, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yehuda. Okay? So Rabbi Akiva made Rabbi Meir Balanes, which is he also age 120. He was older than Rabbi Shimon. He made him as a main Rosh, like a Gdol Ador. Rabbi Akiva made Rabbi Meir. Listen to this beautiful. Nitkarmu panav she Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon did not agree with this. Amalo Rabbi Akiva. He says, Rabbi Akiva told him. Again. So you guys saying in your minds, listen, so Rabbi Shimon also looking for kavod, right? Why did Rabbi Meir was put in the front before me, right? So what is the Rabbi Akiva appeased Rabbi Shimon? He says, look at what he says. Says, it's enough, Rabbi Akiva says, me and your Creator knows your power and strength. That means Rabbi Akiva saw in the future what Rabbi Shimon would bring to this world. Says, I know your power and strength. The Chazal says in the Sanhedrin, the reason is Rabbi Shimon was not put in the first place because Rabbi Meir was a little bit older. When a person is older, people tend to accept his knowledge and wisdom faster and quicker than somebody is a younger. But I guess in our generation, the more older it is the opposite. You just put him in a closet like he has nothing worth it no more. Right? We disqualify him. Or we call salvage, right? We salvage title him, and that's it. What? No. So the Chazal says, listen, to work with the nation and the community, right? We all come to the communities with the black hairs. When we leave the community or after a couple of years, we're all white. What happens? All of a sudden change. Because the community, when you deal with people, you address with different type of people, different type of ideas, different type of mind. You understand the goal, the mind is different. The mind is not in the Torah mind that forgive, to subdue to another. You know, the ego that plays away. Like we have a code in the door, right? We have a code, and we tell him, don't put a code, just put a rock, and he has a problem by we putting rock. Like, they're subduing, people not subduing. They want to be leaders. Everybody want to be leaders. And that's very hard. So what happens when you come in to the shul? You become all black. Now you come out all white. בירושלים, מעשה בתלמיד אחד רבי שמעון בר יוחאי יוצא לחוץ לארץ לסחורה. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had a student. He went from Eretz Israel to outside of Israel to make business transaction. Okay, all the students, other students saw, they were a little bit jealous of him. What is the jealousy? Vayu shu ashir. When he came back from the outside of Israel to Eretz Israel, he became rich. Hayu tamir roim otam mikarim b'oshro. Hayu mevakshem ham letzed. The students now asked the Rabbi Shimon, please let us come out, also become rich. Okay? Nadadav Rabbi Shimon. All of a sudden, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai finds out his students want to come out and want to become lavish life. Helicopters, boats, yachts, right? Houses on the water. Yes? So that's what they want. So what happened? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai collect all his students outside of the Miron. He went to the field, okay? Babika. He says, field, okay? Titmale dinar zahav. He says, made the whole this field full of gold. Today gold $2,620. Full. And he says to his students, my dear students, come take the gold. But if you're going to take it, you're going to eat from your share in the world to come. So they don't need to travel outside of Israel in order for him to get the gold and diamonds. What Rabbi Shimon, what he has to do? Oh, he has to dive into Hashem. And he fills the whole field with the gold. So what do you say, guys? He says, whoever she'en matan scharan shel Torah ba'olam hazeh, says the reward for the Torah not in this world. Ela le'olam haba, he says the reward in the Torah is in the share in the world to come. Kemo she'amru chachamim, da matan scharam shel tzadikim la'atid lavo. Matan scharam, which means the reward for the Torah, is in the future, not in this world. And that's what we're looking. Except if we do kibud avayim, if we do properly respecting father and mother according to the halacha, we get zoche to three things, which is osher, richness, kavod, respect, orech yamim, long life. Okay, these things did promise. Person puts a tefillin properly, you have a long life. Person who have a mezuzah, he has a long life. People giving charity, long life. Maaser, asking bechenina. Hashem says, test me. This is everything becomes rewarded in this world. But other mitzvot is not rewarded in this world. מעשה באיש אחד בצידן, שחטא 10 שנים ולא בעלה ולא ילדה. There was a situation that happened. Husband and wife is living 10 years together. They have no kids. So they came. They said, that's it. We don't have kids. We need to be separate. כשהם נזדווגו זה מאכל משתה. They came to Rabbi Shimon and they said, what should we do? He says, how did you get together? When you did a wedding, he says, we did a beautiful wedding. He says, when you separate, do the same thing. A beautiful separation. Shemala kol va'asu la'atzmam yom tov. They listen to Rabbi Shimon. Most of the times we have a hard time to listening to Chachamim. Then we say, if the Chachamim, if Rabbi Shimon tell me, I would listen too. That's not true. Because Moshe Rabbeinu, how many students he had? Only one, Yeshua. Where's the whole Zikinim, all the list? Where's the whole Jewish nation? Where's all of them? How many students he had? Moshe, Yeshua. Yeshua was giving over. You would have said, if Moshe Rabbeinu would have been in my time, I would have listened to him also. That's not true. Every Talmid Chacham that comes to this world, Arizal says, is the nitzotz of Moshe Rabbeinu, is the spark of Moshe Rabbeinu. Because the Moshe Rabbeinu broke down to the many nitzotzot, many sparks. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, give him advice, the way you got together, the way you want to separate, so that day, these couples that were married for 10 years, they made a Yom Tov. They made a good day, right? Shesama gdola v'shchira oto yoter midai. So they both became drunk. He became more drunk than her. Okay? ביתי, כל חפץ יאשר לביתי, לי אותי וכל ביתך אביך. He says, the husband says, whatever you desire to take from the house, take it and bring it to your father's house. So what she did, she took her husband and she brought to the father's house. He woke up and he says, what happened? He says, you said, take whatever you want to take. Everything belongs to you. So they came in afterwards to Rabbi Shimon. They tell him the story. Rabbi Shimon davened, and they had a baby boy after 10 years. So the Chazal says, if a person wanted to do something, or really willingly, that nothing stands in front of the davening when a person davens. Anybody. Rabbi Shimon omer shlosha ketarim hem. Rabbi Shimon says a person has 3 crowns. What is the 3 crowns? Keter Torah, Keter Kuhuna, Keter Malchut. We have a crown of the Torah, crown of the Kohen, and crown of the king and ruler. The Gemara Yoma, Masechet Yoma, it says following in page 72. Ita shlosha zarim hem shel hamizbech, v'shel shulchan, v'shel Aaron. It says 3 things would happen. What is it? Mizbeach, altar. Shulchan, which just means the table. Table represents the richness. Shel mizbeach keter kuhuna. The altar represents the crown of the kuhuna, the crown of the Kohen. Zachayit Aaron atla. Aaron, descendants of Aaron HaKohen, would be married and to have this keter kuhuna. Okay? Shenemar vayita la zaro acharit brit kuhunat olam. He says this is going to have the covenant between Hashem and Aaron HaKohen kids, which is they're going to have the crown of the Kohen. Shulchan keter malchut. Shulchan, which just means the table, is the crown of the ruler and king. Ze ben bo David v'natlo. David and his descendants will come and take the crown of the kingship ruler. Shenemar Teilim, like it says in the Teilim 89:37. Zaro leolam yeh v'kiso kishemesh negdi. It says the crown and the ruler of the dynasty of David HaMelech is going to be forever. Kirchei yechen olam v'ad v'mas sela. Shel Aaron, which just means Aaron is the Echal, where we keep the Sefer Torah. Keter Torah, the crown of the Torah. Adai munachi v'amed lekol Israel. The crown of the Torah, anybody would come and take it. Kol ha'retzei letol yavo v'yitol. Anybody want to come and have a crown of the Torah would come and would take it. Shenemar Torah tzivalanu Moshe morashat keilat Yaakov. Torah tzivalanu, the Torah is commanded, the morasha, which is inherited of the congregation of Yaakov. Shema Tomar keter Torah pachot mishnehem. What's much greater? The keter kuhuna, which is, means the crown of the Kohen, or the crown of the dynasty of David HaMelech, or the crown of the Torah? Chazal says no. Talmud lomar mishle. Talmud says following in Mishle 8:15. Bi malachim yimlochu, bi sarim yisharu. He says the kings, the rulers. Amru chachamim horayot. Masechet Harayot says in page 13. Afilu mamzer talmid chacham kodem lo kohen gadol am haaretz. Says if the talmid chacham is mamzer, which is his mother was cheating on his father, and that became mamzer. He says mamzer talmid chacham is greater than kohen, is not kohen gadol, not learner. V'chen mu'aba Rambam. That's what it says in the Rambam in the Halacha. פרק ג' הלכה תלמוד תורה הלכה א' והלאה. רמז לדבר זה של השולחן ומזבח. שולחן, which just means the kingship, ruler. מזבח, which just means the Kohen. ועשית לו זר זהב בשל אהרון, נאמר עשית עליו זר זהב סביב. He says when it comes to the crown of the Torah, he says you do the zar zahav saviv, you do around the table, you do the gold. Shu ala akulam. He says the gold goes on top of everything in this parallel that we talk about. Ma shein melech yachol limchol al kavodo. Says the king, if he's going to says I'll forgive for my respect, his respect is forgiven. Harav mochel al kavodo kvodol machol. If the king his respect is forgiven, it's not forgiven. But if the rabbi his respect is he says I forgive for my respect, his respect is forgiven. Masechet Kiddushin says in page 32. היינו טעמה בבני מלך אינו כבוד שלו, אבל תורה אורייתא דילה, גמרא יומא איתי תנו רבנם. So it says, the Chazal says, the crown of the Torah is much greater than any crown, the crown of the rulership and the crown of the Kohen. It says, Masechet Yomayim, page 71. Tanu Rabbanan, Maseh b'Kohen echad she'etzah מבית המקדש ביום כיפורים. Every time in the Masechet Yomah says, every time Kohen Gadol, Motzei Shabbat, Motzei Yom Kippur came out from the Kodesh Kodeshim, from the Holy Holiness, they used to do a party, and the whole Jewish nation used to greet him. Nizdamu Shmaya v'Avtalion. There were two converts, the Gedolei Ador, Shmaya v'Avtalion, was walking at the same time, which is the Kohen Gadol comes out from the Bet HaMikdash, and Shmaya v'Avtalion also was walking at the same time. There were the kids, there were descendants of Sancheriv, the king, almost of the world, who came to conquer the Chizkiah Melech. The Gemara says over there, I think 2.3 billion soldiers he came with. 185,000 just the commanders. Sancheriv, that's how big he was. Okay, the Chazal says Shmaya v'Avtalion came from descendants of the Sancheriv. That's what it says, Masech Gitin. Magdolei Chachmei Israel, they became giants in the Jewish nation. Shmaya v'Avtalion, by the way, teach to Bet Shammai, Bet Hillel. Okay? Afterwards. עזבו את הכהן גדול והלכו לקבל פני שמעיה ואבטליון. They left the Kohen Gadol and they greeted שמעיה ואבטליון. The people. ליטול רשות מן הכהן פירש ללכת אל ביתם. Says, excuse me, Kohen Gadol, we need to come and greet the שמעיה ואבטליון. כהן גדול שנלף על ידי פום, שמעיה ואבטליון עליהם בלשון גנאי וקינטור. So basically, Kohen Gadol did not like that they left them, and they went to Shammai v'Avtalion to greet them. So basically, he belittled them. How he belittled them? With the words. Yavo bnei ha'amim l'shalom. He says, let other nations will come with the peace. Amar mitov yavo bnei ha'amim. He says, it's good, other nations will come in with the peace. Shem osem ma'aseh Aaron. He says, we do the deed of Aaron. Shaya ohev shalom v'odev shalom. Basically what they did, they also bid him. Said, what Aaron loves? He loves shalom, he loves peace, and he runs after the peace. I don't see you guys, you Kohen Gadol, running after the peace. ולא יבוא בנו של אהרון לשלום שאינו עושה מעשה של אהרון. He says, we don't see you do the deed of the Aaron. והנה כל ההמון, כל איש ידע, שאפרו ישראל כאלה עודד ישראל הלכו לקבל פני שכינה. הם שמעיה ואבטליון גדול הדור, עדיפו אותם מפני כהן גדול. The Jewish nation was rather to have שמעיה ואבטליון גדול הדור than כהן גדול. So Chazal says from here, what we learn, בהריות, מסכת הריות says following, אפילו ממזר תלמיד חכם קודם לכהן גדול עם הארץ. Even the תלמיד חכם, ממזר, is before the כהן גדול. How can a bas be Kohen Gadol be Am Haaretz, which is not learner? Because they used to bribe the kings in the second Bet HaMikdash. That's how they became not learners. Because they used to buy this Kohen Gadol, and they used to buy around 300 Kohanim. They used to go every year inside Kodesh once a year, inside the Kodesh Kodeshim, which is Holy of Holiness on Yom Kippur, and they used to die because they never used to be Kohen Gadol. Right, and they used to pay for this kavod just to go inside the Holy of the Holiness. And die, right, and die. Right, no, 300 total. That's like a lot. Every year they used to go, they used to bribe the king. Huh? Yeah, once a year, so 300, 420 years Bet HaMikdash existed, so every year they used to die. Okay, יקרא פנימיים זה לפנים ולפנים. קודש קודשים בית המקדש. כי אין למעלה מן התורה. Chazal says there's not greater than a Torah. שנאמר כל חפציך לא שווה בה. Anything that you take, any diamond, any gold, nothing worth it. אפילו חפצי שמיים לא שווה תורה. It says even that you need to run mitzvot, the Chazal says if you mitzvot able to do with others and you should not do, you should come and learn the Torah. So from here Chazal learned that nothing worth that we're supposed to be thankful and grateful that Hashem made us to come to the Torah and learn the Torah and do mitzvot. Shir Ratzon, Baracha, Tzlacha, Briyut. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Should we have about this Siyat Dishmaya B'ezrat Hashem, tranquility, happiness. V'chen Yeratzon v'namar Amen. I have for you medicine if you want in the house. You're coughing. You're coughing.